This is Ryan Elliott for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. I'd like to be joined by promoter Eddie Hearn here in Liverpool. Eddie, we just concluded the press conference ahead of Smith-Fowler. Nobody was safe there. Even you were getting it from Joe and Ali. What do you make of it?
I wanted to rattle a few people. I've seen all these press conferences lately where everyone's jumping around and firing left hooks at people and shouting at each other. So I wanted a bit of the action. So great card on Saturday. Fascinating main event. Can't wait. Packed in here today. Sold out on Saturday live on DAZN, and looking forward to a massive card.
I wanted to ask you about going to see Anthony Fowler, because when I spoke to him yesterday, it was a different Anthony Fowler. It was a mature business-like. Is that sort of what was reflected when you went to see him as well?
I love the psychology in this fight. Let's just take it back to when we made the fight, which was no one expected this fight. It wasn't on anyone's minds of both teams. Normally you'd have someone say, what about this fight? What about this fight? And this would be an option. This was literally Liam Smith, getting robbed of a decision against Kurbanov, wanted to fight Jesse Vargas. The date wasn't there, the money wasn't there to make that fight. And Anthony Fowler plaguing me for a big fight, but against Cheeseman, against Sergio Garcia, against these guys. And then I went on to BoxRec. Liam Smith was number 1, Anthony Fowler was number 2. They're both from Liverpool, and I just thought, we got it. But they'll never do it. And then I think Liam was almost offended when I first offered him the fight. And Anthony and Shane were almost sort of taken back by, I didn't think of that fight. And after a while, once people realised how big it was, once people knew the money that I could pay them for that fight, they started to become a lot more interested in it. But it's still, for Fowler, this is a massive opportunity for him to break into that scene. For Liam, he's kind of protecting the throne in that sense, So he doesn't think Anthony Fowler has any chance to beat him at all. And Shane's done a good job with Fowler, because I feel like one of the dangers in this fight is genuinely believing you can win. And Shane's done a really good job with Fowler's mind in this fight, because I think he thinks he's got to a point where Ant's convinced he's the favourite. And he's in unbelievable shape. And I think we're going to get a brilliant fight. It can only go one way in terms of the action for this fight. And when both guys walk out in front of 10,000 people in their home city, it's going to be really special.
I spoke to Liam just before, and he seems like he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder about this fight. Do you think he really wants to go out there and prove a point to people? He
does, and he wants to do a job on Fowler. Like, these two, they're not like, lifelong rivalries and hate each other, but I don't think they particularly like each other. And I think Liam thinks, I'm going to do a job on you, and I'm going to teach you a lesson for even taking this fight. But there is, I feel like, we had this argument in the first presser. I feel like there's more pressure on Liam. Liam's expected to win this fight. Liam's the guy who's operated at world level. Liam's a former world champion. Liam wants to fight for the world title again. So Fowler's kind of going out there. I know there's pressure because his career's on the line, but, if he wins this fight, he changes his life. And I think a lot of it will come down to desire. But Liam's a tough cookie. Tough kid. He don't go over easy. And I think we're going to get a war.
Just to touch on the rest of the card, where does this rank among the best non-pay-per-view cards you put together?
I think top to bottom, the best card I've put on. It's difficult. Sometimes you're speaking to managers and they phone you up and they say, like, Tony Bellew's got Luke Willis and Dan Naylor's got Ryland Chant. What time's my boy on? 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock? What? But, Kamil Sokolowski against Solomon Dakers. Sam Jones, what time's he on? 5:30? But where else do you put them when you've got this many great fights on the card? I mean, of course, Peter McGrail making his professional debut as well. Then you go into the main card at 7 p.m, which goes JJ Metcalf against Kieran Conway. Brilliant 154-pound fight. Shannon Courtney defending her WBA bantamweight world title. Really tough fight. Jamie Mitchell's here to win. Peter McGrail, as I said. Troy Williamson against Ted Cheeseman. This is such a great fight. And if it wasn't Smith-Fowler, I'd say this is the pick of the night. What a tremendous fight. For Troy, really strong, looked great. Hasn't been in the deep end yet. For Ted, I think this is his 7th consecutive 12-round championship fight. He's only 26. And this is actually a big fight. Both guys are ranked quite heavily in the IBF as well. So that's a great fight. And then Smith-Fowler. So, yeah. And the thing is in this city, they know their boxing. You can't blag them. I've done shows here. I've done good shows. I've done bad shows. I've done medium shows. And every stage of the quality of bad, medium and good reflects on the interest and the ticket sales. You do a good show, they'll bang the place out. You do a bad show, they won't come. And you see the turnout today, you'll see the turnout tomorrow. This is a fight that's captivated the city. This is the kind of fight that we should make more in British boxing, And I can't wait.
Eddie, just a few things away from this. We saw the news from the WBC that the Fury Wilder 3 winner will have 30 days to either negotiate with Alexander Usyk, which we're expecting won't be happening, or fight Dillian Whyte. Have you spoken to Dillian since that broke?
Yeah, I mean, we want to know more. I mean, it sounds as though we're on the right track. We don't have anything official. Dillian's lawyers are dealing with that as well. The winner of that fight can't negotiate with Alexander Usyk because he's under contract to fight Anthony Joshua. So it's a great spot for Dillian Whyte. Obviously, he's got a tough fight against Whyte-Wallin, but it's about time, quite frankly, and we'll see what happens on Saturday, but moving in the right direction.
With that said, if you do get something more concrete and it's in writing, would there ever be any temptation for Dillian, even though you've got that fight announced, to just wait it out for a shot at Tyson Fury?
I think when you look at when that fight would take place, these guys are fighting this weekend. We're in October, so realistically, that fight's not going to take place till, I don't know, February, March of 2022. That'll be a year since Dillian Whyte's boxed. That's not great preparation at all, but we need to see the substance of that ruling, because there's certain things that we're not happy about even still, and it's an ongoing legal situation, but like I said, seems to be moving in the right direction.
Is there a rematch clause for Whyte-Wallin?
Yeah, it's the WBC Interim World Championship, so there will be. So obviously that's another issue to take into consideration with the WBC ruling. So we just need to sit down with them and make sure that everyone's aware that certain things are in place. Of course, the Joshua contract with Usyk as well, and there's contracts in place that would affect that ruling. So we want to make sure it's clear.
Just a few more from me. Lopez Kambosos, Triller out, Matchroom in. Talk to me about that.
Over the moon. We bid quite heavily for that fight. Well, what we felt was heavily, and we got trounced by Triller in the first bid, and they didn't end up doing it. So it shows you the substance of that bid. Over the moon to get it. We are planning already the venue for that fight. We want to try and do it sooner rather than later. And I think we're in a good position to get that fight moving. We're definitely doing the fight. And when you look at the schedule coming up, of course, Smith-Fowler, Whyte-Wallin, you've got Mikey Garcia next week, you've got Demetrius Andrade World Championship triple header, you've got Golden Boy's Munguia against Rosado, you've got Ryan Garcia's going to be returning with Golden Boy, you've got Devin Haney's fight will be announced shortly, now you've got Lopez Kambosos. This is the strongest schedule out there to close the year in boxing from the zone, and can't wait. Little argument I had from Teofimo's dad last night, because I called it the Unified Lightweight World Championship, and he WhatsApped me and said, it's undisputed, get it right. I said, no, Devin Haney has that WBC title, so I'm sure we'll have a few arguments along the way, but we're going to give his son a great show, and they're going to love it.
Last one from me, Eddie, before I let you go. Fury Wilder, I'm sure you saw some of the snippets from the press conference yesterday. Yeah. Just wondered what you made of the fight week so far, and if anything you've seen has changed your mind on how the fight goes.
No, I mean, it's difficult because there's no Brits there, because they're not allowed to travel. So the tickets are dying, because if the Brits were allowed in, they'd fill the place up. It's a bit flat, and yesterday was good because they got firing at each other. Aaron was hilarious on so many different levels, and I hope Tyson Fury does the business. He looks like he's starting to dial in on the fight, and hopefully he finishes this mess once and for all.
Eddie Hearn, thank you as always, speaking to Boxing Social.